it's a great community where you have the ability to work on your cool ideas and also network. Hi guys, Brad Verma here with American Dream TV show. Today I have a very special guest that I'm going to be interviewing. He is one of the most influential people in Silicon Valley and just a dynamic personality. He has founded the DFJ venture capital firm and several other companies that have invested in Tesla, Skype, SolarCity, SpaceX, and most importantly, he's the author of this amazing book called The Startup Hero. So I'm going to be doing an interview a little bit later, but before that I wanted to share a little bit about this cool co-working space. It's called Hero City. Hero City was designed by obviously legendary venture capitalist Tim Draper, and Tim envisioned not just a space but an ecosystem that inspires and supports the next generation of world-changing entrepreneurs. So the thing with being in Hero City is you have an opportunity to not just be co-working with other cool other people that are visionaries, but also you have an opportunity to network and have access to events and speakers that you normally wouldn't have, even speakers from Draper University and Tim Draper himself. So it's a great community where you have the ability to work on your cool ideas and also network. Hello American Dream, this is Brad Verma. I'm here with a very special guest, Mr. Tim Draper. He is the hero of the venture capital world and has founded several companies that have invested in companies ranging from Skype to Hotmail to SpaceX to Tesla. And he's written this great amazing book. It's called The Startup Hero. And we're going to be talking about a lot of different things. But first I want to ask Tim about how he manages to wear all these different hats and how he has so much energy to get so many things done. Tim?
Well, it's all, for me, it's all about the entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I believe that entrepreneurs can really make the world a much better place, and they keep doing it. I mean, Hotmail and Skype allowed us all to communicate for free all around the world. I think people have almost forgotten what it was like when you couldn't just immediately call someone up anywhere in the world.
Right.
And so entrepreneurs have written, Tesla, I mean, might save the planet.
Right.
SpaceX might get us off the planet.
Sure.
These things are really amazing, and it all starts with an entrepreneur and an idea. And so I get energized by the entrepreneurs. I think you may be talking about my various businesses,
Yes,
and
yeah.
I think the key to success there is
Yeah.
to focus on small teams. Have small teams operate the businesses, because when you have a big team, people can hide, politics come into it. If you have a small team,
Right.
they just have to get it done.
Right, there's nobody
And
else
so
to
you
blame.
you make a few more mistakes, but boy, you can get a lot more done, and then you can actually ultimately be a much more successful business. And so, yeah, I do. But it all comes down to the venture capital business. I'm fortunate enough to be a third generation venture capitalist.
Sure.
My grandfather was the first venture capitalist in the Silicon Valley. My father was a pioneer in venture capital. And I've been focused on spreading venture capital and entrepreneurship around the world. From there, I realize I need deals. I need companies to get started. And so all the other things I do are to generate more deal flow. They call that deal flow.
Sure.
And to bring in more entrepreneurs who want funding to build their businesses and project their dreams. And so that's why, I mean, the book is generating deal flow. The school, Draper University Heroes, is generating deal flow.
Sure.
This Hero City, this generates deal flow because it, and then Boost, BC, my son's accelerator, also generates deal flow. So we see it from all over. And the Draper Venture Network, we have a network of venture capitalists around the world that send us a lot of
So
interesting
it's all
deals.
basically helping get more deals and fuel the venture capital investments.
Right, absolutely. So that's how it all kind of comes together.
Sure, absolutely.
And then individually, each of those businesses does whatever it does, and I try to make sure they are all profitable.
Absolutely.
And then we also have this great show, Meet the Drapers,
Sure.
which is something I do with my father and my daughter and my sister. And we interview entrepreneurs, and we allow the viewer to invest. So if you see it in real time, then you can actually go online and invest in the companies. And you
Wait a
do it
second,
through
when you say
crowdfunding.
invest, are they able to
You can
invest
invest
immediately?
$100 right away.
Wow.
Yeah, they put together a crowd fund, and we say, okay, there you go. Here you've met, ABC
Got it.
Venture. You have an opportunity to invest, and then they go and they can invest $100 or $1,000 in that entrepreneur. And those entrepreneurs end up getting about $1 million, which is the most they can get on a crowd fund so far.
Sure.
And so those entrepreneurs, so we get a lot of entrepreneurs who look at that and say, $1 million and I can start my business.
That is so
And
cool.
just getting on our show generates enough interest so that people can just get funding.
Absolutely, it gives them the recognition. I want to talk a little bit about the book. I read this book and I thought that it is not just for startups. It's just a great guide and so much gems in there for anybody who wants to have a successful business. And also a lot of personal things that you can benefit from. Anything that you would like to talk about in this book that that maybe will entice people to read it, because I think it's one of the greatest books that I've read recently. So,
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And it was fun writing.
Yeah.
I loved writing it because I've had a long, wonderful career and experience, and I've met lots of interesting people, and I've really been through a lot.
Sure.
And so this allows me to apply that and give advice to people who might want to start a business. But it is true that the advice is really good. It's sort of globally good for people who just want to improve their lives. And that has been the case. People have read through it and said, I'm not an entrepreneur, but I read your book and it's really interesting and it's really helped me with X or Y, my family or my career in a big business or my career in government or whatever. And so it's been really helpful to them. And I wrote it all on an iPhone.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
really?
because I travel so much. I've been able to go all over the world.
Right.
Travel so much that I realized that I'd be sitting in line, I'd be sitting in TSA, I'd be sitting on an airplane, and I could just go and put a story down, and then I could always edit it on my computer.
Great.
But that's how I did it. It was great. Yeah, and there were a couple of ghostwriters that came to me, and I decided, no, you don't. Each one didn't quite have the feel that I wanted, so I just wrote the whole thing myself. So the reason we call it Beta .092 is that that I wrote all of it, so there probably are some mistakes still in here. So we will never have a version 1.0. It'll just be always Beta .93, .94.
I love how you have the pledge, and what I like about the pledge is that every line of the pledge has a story behind it, and which is really cool. It kind of instills in your mind what is the reasoning for the pledge, and also helps you remember that pledge. Is it okay if we do the pledge?
Do you know it?
I don't know it. Remember?
Okay, we'll do it together.
Yeah,
Ready?
Together.
Okay.
Yes.
I will promote freedom at all costs.
I will promote freedom at all costs.
I will do everything in my power to drive, build, and pursue progress and change.
I will do everything in my power to drive, build, pursue
progress
and
change.
Yeah.
My brand, my network, and my reputation are paramount.
My brand, my network, my reputation are paramount.
I will set positive examples for others to emulate.
I will set positive examples for others to emulate.
I will fail and fail again until I succeed.
I will fail and fail again until I succeed.
I will explore the world with gusto and enthusiasm.
I will explore the world with gusto and enthusiasm.
I will treat people well.
I will treat people well.
I will make short-term sacrifices for long-term success.
I will make short-term sacrifices for long-term success.
I will pursue fairness, openness, health, and fun with all that I encounter. Mostly fun.
Mostly fun.
Okay, that's good enough. I will keep my word.
I will keep my word.
I will do my best to make reparations for my digressions.
I will keep my best. I will do my best to keep reparations for my digressions.
All right. Hey. All right. Good job. You're almost all the way to becoming a Draper University startup hero.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So, we talked about the book. We talked a little bit about the Draper.
So my thinking with the pledge and using the pledge as a guide for my book was that if you've got a pledge, what happens is you'll come to forks in the road in your life. You'll say, do I do this or I do this? Right. And then you start asking yourself, is this promoting freedom at all costs? Or is this an opportunity to fail and fail again? Or is this a good short-term sacrifice for a long-term success? And it keeps you from taking the other route. Right. And then that last line, sort of a catch-all.
Sure.
If I screw up, I'm going to make reparations for my digressions. So my thinking is that if you put all those into people's heads, they start thinking, okay, this is a good oath to live by. Sure. Whether you're an entrepreneur or not, it helps you go do things rather than being in your head and thinking about all the things that could go wrong.
And it's all about asking the right questions, right, in your mind. If you have the right question, you get the right answer.
Right. And actually, there's a part in there I think was when I first met Barbara Walters, who's this great interviewer. Sure. And I asked her because my daughter was on a talk show. She created a talk show called The Valley Girl. And I said, do you have some advice for my daughter? And she said, it's about the second question. And I thought about that and I go, I get it. You want to set them up with a first question and then come in hard with a second one. The first question can be, so I don't get how this works. You can ask the stupid question. Right. And then the next one can be, but what about this?
I like that one. I'm going to use that a lot. Well, great. So another thing I wanted to talk about, you've invested heavily in Bitcoin, and you've seen a lot of people pitch different ideas, and you come across so many different things that maybe we don't know about. What can you tell us about the real estate world? How do you think that the changes that are happening right now are going to impact the real estate world?
Okay, so this is really exciting. Bitcoin it's decentralized, it's open, it's transparent, it's global. People are going to be able to use it and not have to pay the banks 2.5% to 4% every time they swipe a credit card, which is really interesting because so far it is 14 men to 1 woman that has a Bitcoin wallet. And I think once the woman realizes, because women communicate very well, once that one woman realizes that hey, I can save 2.5% to 4% every time I swipe my credit card, they're gonna they'll immediately go to a currency that's global and open and all the other things. So this is the beginning of more than just, hey, this is better than the dollar.
Right.
This is the beginning of a whole new way of thinking. Bitcoin created also something called the blockchain, which is a perfect ledger of every transaction that goes in Bitcoin. Right. So that ledger can keep perfect track of currency, but it can also keep perfect track of data.
Got it.
So people, and then there's something else called a smart contract, which means that you can set up a deal in software. Right. It's kind of the way to think about it. Just the computer keeps track of a deal. So in real estate, the things that people are really excited about right now are that they can keep title on the blockchain, and they will no longer need to pay title insurance.
Sure.
They can also tokenize, which means create a new currency around real estate ownership. And so if you've tokenized a building, let's say this building, let's say I need some cash to go invest in another company. Sure. I could tokenize this building and sell off pieces of it.
Sure.
And still maintain control of it. I could tokenize my house.
Right, you cannot do that with the regular.
And what that means is sell little pieces of that real estate. And then it creates all this liquidity. And we are all wealthier with liquidity.
Sure.
And the way I'm going to describe that to you is, let's say you own a house and I own a farm. If we don't do a deal, you starve and I die of exposure. So we need to do a deal, right? Sure. And then that creates liquidity between the two of us. Right. Well, there are trillions of these deals that happen all around the world all the time. Right. And they make for more and more liquidity, and it creates an environment where we can get all of our clothing, shelter, food, whatever else, whenever we need it. But it also creates wealth. And wealth is created pretty much by liquidity. And if you can create liquidity in a building and have shared ownership in a building and allow that building to be traded, pieces of that building to be traded, little shares of the building, you are creating more wealth. So real estate's going to change.
So do you see a future where people will be buying real estate through Bitcoins, or
yes,
you think that's
In fact, I'll start with venture capital. I see a time where I can raise a fund in venture capital in Bitcoin. I can invest that in Bitcoin into 20 different startups, and then they pay their employees and suppliers in Bitcoin. And then if they sell their business, they could, let's say they sell it for as much as I started the fund for. That money would then get shared amongst all the investors through a smart contract. It would drop into all their little wallets.
Right.
And so then they'd immediately get their money. And I won't have needed to, none of us will have needed to have paid for bookkeeping, for accounting, for auditing. We won't have needed to pay for lawyers to figure out what the transfers are and all the different transfer agreements. And it would just fall right into place automatically. That is really exciting in venture capital. I also think it's going to happen in real estate. I think you can buy a building today. You can buy a building for Bitcoin.
Right.
You know, they were offering a lot for Hero City, and if they had offered it in Bitcoin, I might have taken it.
That's fair, yeah.
But that's what's. And then what you can do is you can put your building up on the market, and let's say take 100 shares of it and sell them off individually to different people, and then they could trade those shares. They could say, oh, I want more of the building now or less of the building at a different time.
Right.
And I need to raise cash. I've got to sell my interest.
So you become a lot more liquid, and people who owns, really properties that are worth millions of dollars right now, and they are still not able to utilize those funds. So there could be a time where they could liquidate some of that.
Sure.
Use it
so you don't get into trouble. I mean, a lot of people in the finance world will overextend or get into trouble. Well, this opens up assets to allow them not to get into trouble. If I had to make a venture capital call and I was out of cash, I would have to sell something in a desperate way.
Right.
But if we had a token piece of this building and there was a free market, fair market for it, I could just sell off a small piece.
That's true. That's awesome. Now, talking about real estate and the Silicon Valley, I just wanted to get your take about what you think is so special about Silicon Valley. We have viewers who are watching from all over the world and all over the US, and a lot of people just associate Silicon Valley with the big companies and the venture capital world. What is so special to you that you chose to be in the Silicon Valley? You live in Atherton, and you have your office, a beautiful office out here in San Mateo. What is so special about here?
So I think the Silicon Valley has 60 years of progress in entrepreneurship and venture capital, and they've got it down to a science. And they attract all the brightest people in the world from all over the world to come to this area and potentially make their fortune or build their business or drive some new revolution, whatever it is they want to do. This is a great place to start from, and it's very interesting that Draper University being in the Silicon Valley has really helped it, because people from all over the world know the Silicon Valley is where you go if you want to start a business. It is a really good hotspot for that, and a lot of venture capital is available here, and a lot of choices, a lot of potential competitors, customers, and suppliers. All of that's here, and what's interesting is we bought these buildings when they were the town was sort of falling apart.
Right.
And by infusing this excitement of Silicon Valley into this area, we've quadrupled the value of the real estate here.
I mean, it's just amazing, the restaurants that have come up in the last 2 years.
The whole thing is really popped, and it was really the town was really dying. It was on its last legs. And we were able to buy an old hotel, and so our school is a boarding school. Draper University is a boarding school. We have a big theater downstairs, and that's where we film Meet the Drapers, the show for entrepreneurs. And then we have 80 potential portfolio companies at any one time working out of this building. And that creates this energy. People have to come visit, customers, suppliers, everybody has to come visit. Investors come through here. We have business plan competitions here. We have conferences of all sorts, whether it be a women's conference or a conference on GRIN, the Bitcoin something or other, the new Bitcoin. They all happen here. And it kind of gives this real thrust to the real estate here, and the buildings sort of come alive, and that has been it's been really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely, I totally agree with you. anything that you want to add about Atherton? Why is it such a special town? You know, it's in the heart of the Silicon Valley.
They have a 1 acre minimum. I think that helps.
That does help,
Yeah.
having that much space.
Right.
And being close to all the airports. And
But I think there are a lot of great towns in the Bay Area. There's, I mean, all throughout the Bay Area, there are a lot of great places to live. There's Woodside and Menlo Park, Palo Alto, Redwood City, San Carlos, San Mateo, Hillsborough. This whole region is just gorgeous. I think the weather is what really keeps people here, because it certainly isn't the state government.
Right.
I mean, we pay 13% state tax.
Right.
That isn't an attraction, particularly because we don't seem to be getting much in the way of service from them.
Right.
But if you want to start a business, you want to build something, you have great ambitions, I don't think there's a better place to come.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I really liked about your book, and I wanted to ask you a little bit further about, is do you have certain rituals that you follow in your morning or throughout the day that will help any entrepreneur be at their peak? Like, do you have a certain one ritual that you do? Or
yeah, I do.
I
find that I've got to exercise in the morning because I can't be sure that any time during the rest of the day that I will have time to exercise. So it's just better to get that done early in the morning. Get it all going, get your blood running. I take a hot shower, then a cold shower. That actually works pretty well too, and apparently gives you the good fat rather than the bad fat in your body. It's kind of a new thing. I try to get it all done right off the bat, and then the day begins, and I can just take the day that whatever happens. And I also always wear the same suit. You're well trained. No one in the Silicon Valley, but you and me, I guess, are the ones who wear ties. But I wear the same thing because I don't have to think about it in the morning. I don't know who I'm going to meet. I don't know whether I'm going to be interviewed, or I'm going to meet a bunch of Japanese businessmen, or I'm going to be meeting entrepreneurs. And in any case, you want to show respect and you want to feel good. And so that's what I get. I get dressed up pretty much the same way every day. It's always got a red tie. Usually, sometimes it's a Bitcoin tie. This one's a Draper Associates tie. But I think I got
oh my
Bitcoin
God! Look at that. That's what I love about you. In the back of this book, it talks about how crazy you are, but you have to be crazy enough to take risks.
Well, as a venture capitalist, I have to be a little crazy because I'm putting money at risk with somebody whose idea is potentially crazy. But and I know that I'll lose about half the time. It's the other half that makes all the difference, though. Because sometimes those crazy ideas become huge industries.
Yes, absolutely. Well, this has been an honor and a pleasure. Is there anything else that you would like to share with the viewers? Anything that?
Great. Yeah. Go on Amazon, buy this book, Startup Hero by Tim Draper. Go to YouTube and watch my show. The season begins, I think, the new season begins in January. It's called Meet the Drapers. And otherwise, just go out there, have fun, buy real estate from this guy. Well, it's a good life. Come to the Silicon Valley. We love having you here.
Thank you so much again, Tim, for your time. I really appreciate it. And
great. My pleasure.
Thank you so much. All right. Thank you, guys. Okay, appreciate it. That was great. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was
fun.
fun.
Great. Yeah, that's fun.